This is Justin.
And this is Haley, and you're listening to The Price of Avocado Toast.
We're a married millennial couple wanting to normalize conversations about money. We want to hear about your highs and your lows,
The do's and the don'ts on your path towards financial freedom. Hi Toasties, welcome to The Price of Avocado Toast.
Whether you're a first-time listener or you've been following us from the start of this thing, we're so glad to have this conversation with you today.
I've been wanting to do this episode literally since we started this podcast. I wasn't totally sure how to approach this, but I've been wanting to do something about multi-level marketing from literally the get-go. So I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, today kicks off our multi-level marketing mini-series. So we're going to have an interview today with someone who was in MLM and didn't have a great experience. Next week, we'll follow it up with somebody who's thriving in MLMs. And then week 3, we'll kind of break it down ourselves and kind of talk a little bit more about our perspective and what we think. But we figured it was important to bring in two people on different sides of the spectrum to talk about their experiences.
Totally. Before we dive into today's episode and the interview, I just want to say that we are almost totally healed from COVID.
Yes.
It was a rough 3-ish weeks, almost a month. It's kind of a blur at this point, but we're doing good, and we just thank you guys for all of the well wishes.
Yeah, I don't have my taste and my smell back yet, but I ate lunch today at work and I could taste the mustard.
And he texted me. He was
spicy
like, I can
mustard.
taste the mustard.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that everything else comes back soon too. I can't smell anything still, but
Soon enough.
soon enough. That's the goal. Yeah.
I wonder if the first thing that you smell will be like one of the dogs'
I don't
farts or
know.
something.
I sure hope not. I hope it's something like, a hot cup of coffee. Like,
Oh, something good.
would
That's
love
wishful
to like
thinking.
wake up in the morning and be like, oh, I can smell this coffee. This would be wonderful.
I
Yeah,
don't think it works like that.
I know. I can't just manifest it.
All right, well, we're going to dive into this episode with Chelsea, and we hope you guys really enjoy. Please make sure that you tune in next week as well to hear the flip side of things.
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
All right, everybody. Today we're talking to Chelsea, and we're talking to her all about her experience in network marketing. And it was an interesting experience, and I'm excited to hear all about it. There are so many things people think about network marketing, and I'm so excited to get people on the podcast to kind of tell their stories. So thank you. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's obviously a touchy subject, and a lot of people have, views on each side of the spectrum. So we're really glad that you reached out and were willing to kind of share your experience, because we think that obviously anecdotal experience beyond just like our own thoughts is what's most important. So thanks for being so bold and being willing to come on the podcast.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it was definitely an experience.
Well, I can't wait to hear all about it. But before we dive into chatting with you, I just want to tell all of our listeners, this is the first time ever we've done a gone rogue interview. We have no outline. We just want to have a conversation. If you hate this approach, let us know. But I just wanted to try it out.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons I'm comfortable with it, though, too, is that Chelsea's a fellow teacher, and
For
so
sure.
she knows how to not only like wing a lesson plan, but also how to have a good conversation. So it works.
Yeah, I think it'll be good.
So, Chelsea, to start us off, if you don't mind, just give us like a little bit of your background with the time frame or the age that you were at when you started to get into network marketing or MLMs.
Yeah, so this was in 2019, so it wasn't too long ago. And I'm 28 now. Lord knows how old I was then. Sorry, 38 weeks pregnant. My brain does not work how it used to. But it was actually kind of funny how it happened. So I was at the wedding expo in Santa Rosa.
Oh, we've been to that.
And yeah, and they have a bunch of raffles, and you put your name in and you can win lots of cool things. And a few days later, I got this phone call and a text. I didn't answer the phone call, but then I got a text saying that I won a spa day, like a spa party for my bridal party from the wedding expo, and that she was going to come to my house and do everything in house. And it ended up being a Mary Kay recruiter that came over for the spa day. So it was kind of interesting in that sense. But, I was planning my wedding. So I thought, I liked the products that we tried, and I figured, hey, if I can make some extra money, for the wedding, why not? So that's kind of the mindset that I had going into it.
I think I won that same thing, but I didn't reach out on it. So I wonder, like, was their approach just to get people's information and then to reach out to everybody?
And the answer is yes, because at my first meeting I went to, that was actually one of the activities that they asked everyone to do, was to create what they call a fishbowl. And then you go to different businesses or events and you ask permission to put out the bowl to win a spa day. And basically you cold call every single person that puts their information in the bowl and tell them that they've won.
Holy smokes. That's
And that
wild.
And honestly, when that happened, I was like, my feelings were hurt. I was sitting there like, oh, so I'm not special. I didn't win. Like,
Wow, that's wild. Yeah, oh my gosh. And you mentioned that it's right around the time of you planning your wedding, which we all know is, an important part of people's, life journey and a big day. And we've kind of talked about like network marketing and MLMs and who they kind of prey on, for lack of a better word. And I mean, you talk about some pretty vulnerable people, brides, right? People that are stressed and, wanting this to be the perfect day. And you put them into a situation like that where you're preying on them like, hey, that's such a good tagline. We can make a couple extra bucks so you can spend more on your wedding or something like that. It's just interesting. I mean, clearly they're professionals that do stuff like this. They're targeting the right people there.
Sure.
I mean, that's wild to me.
I mean, yeah. That I never thought that they'd call everyone. I kind of thought I wanted to, so I guess I'm not special.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, you dodged a bullet, in my opinion, with that one.
So you got this spa day, and then you had the get together at your place, clearly, right? And then
Yeah.
they recruited you there, and so you like went to a first meeting, or what was the process like?
Yeah. So she came to my house, and I had all my bridesmaids there, my mom, my mother-in-law, and then she starts putting out these little trays of product, and we're basically all just sitting on my couch washing our faces with stuff on a plastic tray. But then, yeah, basically at the end, she asks you if you want to buy any of the products. And then what they call shares the opportunity is the phrase that they use. And so she has these big pamphlets with all the things that you can earn, or, the car and the jewelry and the designer bags and the trips and all these things that you could potentially earn. And then they pitch the starter kit. And so the starter kit is like basically the first thing any new consultant needs. And you have to buy that to become a consultant. And it's $100 plus tax. It's like 110, but it comes with the full Time-Wise skincare set, which is $100, plus it comes with some more like marketing materials and the trays you need and the mirrors and stuff like that. And so I was sitting there with my mom, and I figured, well, I'm getting more product by buying the starter kit than if I was just going to buy the set anyways. So I just figured, and me and my mom kind of were like talking about it, and we're like, well, we'll just try it, and if I don't like it, I can just keep the product and I don't need to, do it anymore. So that's kind of how it started. And then, yeah, they have meetings weekly, and they were at like a local church. And it was funny, the first time I went, I got like reprimanded in front of everyone because I wasn't wearing a dress or a skirt. Like there's a dress code, and I didn't know.
Are you serious?
Yeah, there's a dress code. You have to wear a skirt or a dress to any like appointments or meetings or anything like that.
That sounds
Oh my
really
gosh.
1920s.
Yeah, absolutely. Like clearly their
Right.
founders have some pretty sexist ideology.
That's
Hmm.
wild.
And it's all about, yeah, it's all about, women empowerment and making women feel special, which is why a lot of the scripts that they use are spun in a way of like, oh, you won this, or oh, I'm giving away this product or this service because I'm celebrating women. And yeah, it's kind of their spin on things. But then I went to another meeting at her house. So like that was like the first weekly meeting, which there was a few red flags, like, but I just kind of pushed those to the side. And I went to my orientation at my director's house. And then there she kind of explained how everything works. And there's different levels of like ordering inventory. And I guess Mary Kay, like the founder, she always says you can't sell from an empty wagon. Like you want to have your product with you. So that, if you are at an event or something, like you can sell it right then and there. You don't have to order it and wait for it to be shipped, because that could deter someone from wanting to buy it. And it's like, it was like $4,800, $3,600, $1,200, and $600, if I'm remembering correctly, was like the different tiers. And she was like, so which one do you want to do today?
Like your straight up initial investment, that's what you'd have to throw in
Yes.
to have that
Yes.
product on hand.
Right. And I looked at her and, I'm a teacher too. And I was like, I don't have that kind of money at all. Like I thought we were going to make money, like, and she said, oh, well, don't worry. There's a Mary Kay credit card. Do you want to apply? And I luckily said no, but I considered it, but I luckily said no. I told her I needed to go home and talk to my fiance about it, which I didn't. We weren't married yet at the time. And I kind of just thought in my head, like, oh, okay, well, I'll just put it on my own credit card, the $600 inventory order, whatever.
This makes
And
me so mad.
and it gets weirder. It gets weirder. So she calls me a few hours later. So I go home, I tell her I'm gonna think about it. She calls me a few hours later and is like, oh, have you made your order yet? And I was like, no, I was in the car. I was like, I'm actually on my way out to dinner. So I was gonna do it tomorrow. And she was like, well, why don't I help you with it? And so she like had access to my account
Because you bought something the first time?
because I had already signed up for my online account. And then for the online account, it's really weird. You have to, in order to use your debit or credit card on the website, you have to pay for what's called a pro pay account. That's $40 annually a year. So like you have to pay $40 to be able to even use your credit card on the Mary Kay website.
Oh
And
God.
so I had already done that. So my card was already like linked to my account. And then she's just like, oh, we'll add this and we'll add that. And you're going to want this. And this is really good selling. And she basically put a bunch of things in my cart. And it was about like $600. And basically, in order to get like the perks, so the perks are if you buy $400 retail, you then get 50% off after that for 3 months. That means you're active. And so she was trying to make sure I was active so I get my discount. But in order to be active, I would have only had to order 400, but she was pushing for 600 because at 600 is when she gets the commission check. if that makes
Gotcha.
sense.
Yeah, totally.
And so she's on the phone and she was like, I'm going to order it. Okay. And at that point, I was like flustered and annoyed.
And you
And
can't
I just
even
said,
see it, right? You're on the phone?
no, I was on the phone.
Oh my
And
God.
so I wasn't looking at it. I didn't, yeah. She was just like, oh, this is what sells. Like, this is the stuff you need. And I was just like, okay, whatever. Like at that point, I just wanted her off the phone. I wanted to go out to dinner, and it was ordered and it came to my house a few days later. And that was my first order.
Holy smokes. So now you have all this inventory that you're then basically in charge of selling to make some type of a profit.
Yes. Uh-huh. And I was actually celebrated at the next meeting for having $600 wholesales, even though I hadn't sold anything, but I had
You bought
purchased
it.
that much. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So I have to ask, what did your fiance think when all of this came?
He wasn't really involved at all. He kind of was just like, okay, whatever you want to do. We weren't married yet, so our finances weren't joined at that point. And so it kind of, I just did it. I wish I would have talked to him about it because he probably would have talked me out of it. But I kind of just went for it.
Holy smokes.
So $600 of expensive makeup or facial stuff. Is that like a lot of stuff, or is that like how much I think it would be if I walked into Sephora? I could fit it in my purse.
It was a good amount. I would say it was like four of the full skincare sets, because there's different like formulations. So I like some normal to dry, some oily, some anti-aging. And then I got some like different scrubs, but it wasn't a huge amount. Yeah, it was a few sets of the various products, and I still have some of it.
So, as a guy who's never worn Mary Kay or makeup, how is their product? Like, I mean, obviously, like MLM scam, bad wedding vibe stuff separate. Is it a decent product?
I've tried it. My mom had it for a long time, and it is decent.
Yeah. Chelsea, I mean, would you
Yeah,
say it's a decent product?
I think the skincare, I do like the skincare. Like I still have some of it and I still use it because I have it. I would say I'm a big makeup person, and the makeup is not good in my opinion. And I ended up buying a lot of makeup too, because I was told that I can't be going to parties and events because with my own makeup, because someone's going to say, oh, hey, what eyeshadow are you wearing, or I want to buy it, or if it's not Mary Kay, how am I going to sell it? So that was like my second really big order. Before I even sold any of the skincare, I purchased probably, and it was a lot. It was like about $875 worth of makeup, because I also bought every shade of foundation because I wanted to be able to color match clients. Like I thought that was going to be a strength of mine. And I did not sell one single foundation.
Oh, no.
Dang.
That's a lot of foundation to have that doesn't even fit your skin color.
Right. Exactly. I know.
Okay, so you bought this $600 product stuff. What was like your initial headspace after that? You're like, okay, cool, like whatever, this was weird, but like now I'm in it, I'm gonna start like trying to sell it, or what were you thinking at the time?
Yeah, I was like, at that point, I started to get stressed because I had, at that point, I had over $1,000, charged on my credit card and nothing to show for it. And so I started trying to book parties, and the way that works in Mary Kay is we have what they call scripts, and basically it's like texts or Facebook messages already typed out, like the typical, hey girl, I know we haven't talked in a while, but I wanted to, share this with you, and blah blah blah. And I booked about 2 parties after reaching out to dozens of people that I knew. And I sold a couple of things, like I sold a set to my mom and my mother-in-law and a friend of mine, and that was pretty much it. I also booked a party, with this another weird thing they do at Mary Kay. I don't know what it's called. I want to call it a rose ceremony, but I know that's not what it's called. But basically, you buy roses. So, like me and this other girl, we went to Costco. We each got like 4 dozen roses, and then like we went and we asked the owner or manager at Chevy's if you can stand outside and hand out roses to all the women that come in, and then you enter them in to win a spa day. And then you cold call every single person that gives you their information. And I booked one party through that. Like I had hundreds of numbers and only one person, was open to it. And I think I sold her like one microdermabrasion set that was like $50. So I made $25. And so it didn't even cover the cost of the roses.
Oh my gosh. That is just wild to me. Like, I can't believe that. Now I'm like I'm going to be on the lookout for anybody that's like, we've entered you into a spa day. I mean, like, you liar, you entered everybody.
It's not even a spa day. Okay.
It's not even a real spa.
How did you feel when you were like calling people or trying to reach out to people? Did it feel like you were excited and you wanted to make money, or did it feel kind of slimy?
It felt slimy to me, and like, oh my, like you guys know, as teachers, we're so busy and we work so many hours already. I was like, how did I rope myself into having more work? I don't, I was kind of getting resentful at that point of my director asking me to do things because I was already so busy teaching. But at the same time, I had that anxiety of the credit card bill, like and all this product I have. So it was kind of a weird toss up of emotions of like, wow, I really don't want to be doing this, but now I feel like I don't have a choice because I'm in debt.
Yeah. Oh, we've been there. When you feel like you don't have any choice because you got to pay off something. Yikes.
Yeah.
So explain kind of the relationship between you and the director, because it seems like obviously, being pushy about the $600, and then I'm sure, checking in probably fairly often about like, how are your sales, or you got this, girl. Like, what's that relationship like?
Yeah, it was strange. Like at first I really liked her. She was really sweet. She had a little 1-year-old baby. She said she was able to quit her 9 to 5 job and do this full time and get to be home with her baby. And I thought that was really cool, and but then after seeing some of those things, and then when you are attending the meetings and you're basically like being taught everything that kind of drew you in, you're like, oh, so I was just played, kind of, so at that point I knew our relationship wasn't genuine. I was just another commission check for her every month that I was active. And so after, the last big order I did, I didn't order anything else more, and I didn't try to book any more parties because honestly too, I didn't want people at my house. Like I have animals. I had a roommate at the time who was very shy and private and didn't want people, in and out of his house either.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel comfortable going over to strangers' houses. Like I watch Dateline. I shouldn't, I don't want to be going to a stranger's house by myself. And so I was just kind of over it at that point, and I let my account go inactive. And at that point is when she kind of changed her tone with me and was like constantly calling. And at that point I stopped going to the meetings, and I just would always say I had to work, which I did. Teaching, and then I kind of took a step back, but I didn't fully quit until the Kincaid fire. Because it was during the Kincaid fire. So my parents live in Windsor, And so they were evacuated from their house. And we were pretty sure that the house didn't make it because they live right off of Arata Lane where, it was really bad.
Yeah.
But luckily everything was fine. But at the time I didn't know that. So I was really emotional, and I was at home and she was like, "Well, what are you doing? Like, why don't you?" She's like, "Oh, I know what you can do." And I was like, "What?" She said, "Well, I just went to Target, and you know what? In the skincare and makeup aisle, there was a ton of fire evacuees that needed products. And so what I did is I just started giving my card out to people and saying if they need anything and I could help them. Like maybe you could try that." And I lost it. Like I was no longer professional or nice. Like I told her exactly how I felt, that that was disgusting. And I basically hung up on her and blocked her and never spoke to her again after that point.
Good for you. I think a lot of people would not do that, and then they'd feel crummy about even somebody suggesting that, and feel worse that they didn't call somebody out on that crap when they did it. So good for you for calling her out immediately. That's that's yeah, that's messed up.
That's what got me. We were talking about this on Instagram. And when she said that the person above her tried to get her to sell to fire victims and evacuees, that's the tipping point. That's what made this story like, you've got to come share this, because there's a lot of slimy stuff that's associated with network marketing, and not everyone's experience is horrible. But when so many people think of network marketing, they think of Mary Kay. They've been around for so long. Mary Kay is
Right.
like one of the OGs. Mary Kay is the one that makes you have a huge inventory, and that's the old way of doing things with network marketing. And so many people just think like, oh, network marketing. My mom had Mary Kay or whatever it is. But a lot of people also have bad experiences with it.
Right. And I'm not saying that every director would do
Oh,
that.
for
I'm sure
sure.
there are plenty that would never say such thing, but that was just what happened to me and where I kind of drew the line.
When we got wrapped up in the Amway stuff, Amway, at least, they had never said openly what they were doing really, and this married couple really acted like they cared about us and wanted to see us get out of debt. And this was before we'd even started our debt-free journey. And they seemed like great people, super genuine people. And then
Mm-hmm.
as we got further into it and actually figured out what it was, I came home and just did a ton of research and was like, this is some of the absolute worst stuff. And I texted the guy and just straight up said, like, you tried to leverage the kindness of me and my wife to try and make a buck off us. Like, you tried to leverage a fake friendship to make money. And it was one of the grossest feelings ever. And it's what kind of kickstarted our debt-free journey, because it was like we had genuinely felt like there was a connection, and then you realize to somebody else it is simply just to make a dollar. And it makes you feel like I never want to be in this spot again, to where I am like under somebody or I'm getting played because I need the money. Like, it
Yeah.
was just the worst feeling.
Totally. Yeah, it is. And especially, I think for people like you guys, like who would never even think that people operate that way, to have that realization is, yeah, it's a horrible feeling.
That's a great way to put it too. Like, people who are kind-hearted, like, they assume people have the best of intentions, and the world just simply doesn't work that way.
Yeah, they were really nice people. Or
Yeah.
they made it seem like they were. I
Yeah.
really liked them. We drove to Fairfield.
Yeah. Every week to meet up with them and see them.
Yeah, we drove, an hour each way to go meet them once a week just to chat at a Starbucks and get to know them better. And we didn't really even know what they were doing, but we trusted them so much that we were like, it doesn't really matter what they're into as long as it's not like illegal.
And we said, like, we are not really trying to sell stuff. Like, that's not what we want to do. And they're like, no, 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 no. Like, just
Totally.
frauds, man. Total frauds.
Hmm.
Okay, so you have this incident with the gross suggestion that you go to Target, and you said you cut off, your director at that point and didn't talk to him. So tell us, like, how you ended up dissolving all this? You said you went inactive. Like, was that it? You're just like, okay, I'm done, and I just sit on this product for the rest of time and kind of cut my losses, or what?
Yeah, that's what I did. I I blocked her, and then there was even a couple of the other girls, they would, message me and say, "Oh, she really wants to talk to you. Can we all meet up for coffee?" Like it was a misunderstanding, and I just didn't even respond to them because I didn't want to get into it. And yeah, so I still have product a few years later, and that's and I and to be honest, I'm still paying off that credit card bill.
That's what feels extra dirty about this, that
Mhm.
you were at such a vulnerable spot. Like you needed money. Teachers don't get paid very well, but you're also trying to plan a wedding and pay for that. And you didn't have the disposable income to just spend money like that. So you had to go into debt to even get started.
Right. I should have seen that as a red flag, but she just made it seem like it was so easy. Like, of course you're gonna make this back. Like, it sells itself. It's so great.
That's
Yeah.
just, yeah, it's heartbreaking.
So sad. So, Chelsea, now that you've had this experience, can you spot when friends or family are trying to recruit you for other network marketing situations? And how do you respond if you notice it?
Yeah. I actually had one friend, a really good friend, really sweet girl, and after this happened, she wanted to talk to me about Arbonne. And I've had a few friends that have done Arbonne, and I might buy a product. And I actually do. I bought some protein powder from her, and I actually really like it. And so that was fine, but she was like, "Oh, come on, like join the team, like it's so much fun. It's so much different than Mary Kay." And I just told her, I said, "I'm sorry, like I fully support you. If this is what you want to do, I'll buy protein powder from you whenever I need it, but I'm not going down that road ever again."
When we spoke to the guest we had on about the other side of MLMs, we mentioned that that is one thing people can do. If you're not for the MLM idea, but a friend or somebody that you care about is in it, rather than slamming them and harassing them about it or getting on them, they may be in a situation where they believe that's their best option or that's their only situation. So that the one thing you can do is, if it's a product that you actually do use or enjoy or support, obviously purchasing it through them is, better than maybe going on Amazon and grabbing something. Or, it's kind of like the idea of supporting local stuff, right? Like it may be their only way to stay home with their kids and get their daughter or their son into extracurriculars or whatever. So good for you for at least saying, hey, like I'm not going to join the team, but I'll support you in the product, because I think that that takes a lot more strength after having a bad experience. I know if somebody came and approached me about Amway, it'd be really hard for me to not say some pretty choice things about this situation overall. So credit to you for being kind. I mean, that's what got you into it in the first place.
Totally.
Oh my goodness. I just feel that. I feel like if somebody were to approach me like in that same way, like we at a spa thing, and like you're sitting in front of somebody and they're like, "Are you gonna buy anything?" And I'm the idiot who'd be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna buy like it all, I guess," versus being like, "No, I'm okay." I just don't have like a good filter of being like, "No, thank you."
Well, that's hard.
Yeah, it's super hard.
It's really awkward. And I think that the
Totally.
parties, anything that sells in a party, and then you have a great experience with it, and then they want to say, "So, do you want to buy it?" But it's way too expensive, or I can't afford it, or any of that. It goes out the window because you're really awkward and you like have to say yes, or you think you do. I mean,
Right. And she just was like, "Oh, I have a 1-year-old." And, it's like, "Oh, you just spent 2 hours of your day doing this. I don't want you going home empty handed," was kind of how I felt about it.
Yeah.
But
So I actually have a question though. In a situation like that, if somebody's at the party, could you open a Mary Kay credit card with them to purchase the product and not be a consultant, or is it only the consultants that can have the credit card to like get stuff?
That's a good question. I don't know actually. I could
Because
Google it.
yeah, our culture is so heavy into like, well, just get the store credit card because that's what you use anyways. I go to Dick's Sporting Goods, I'm gonna just get their credit card and buy stuff. I go to Kohl's, like just doing that. I could imagine if somebody was like, that was another way that they could make money. Being like, oh well, don't worry, if you don't have the cash on you right now, let's get you signed up with a credit card through Mary Kay, and when you need more stuff, just reach out. And it's like, you could get another commission bonus almost by enrolling somebody in their credit card. I wonder if that's a thing. Look at me. Ew, I sound like MLM scum. I'm over here like, we should totally do that. Jesus.
Well, I just Googled and it says the Mary Kay Rewards Visa card new. Apply and shop today if it's instantly approved. No annual fee. Apply now.
So probably.
So yeah, probably.
Sounds like it.
It sounds like I am Mary Kay.
I think you are.
Maybe.
You can choose any of these designs.
Oh, even better. So, but look at obviously the listeners.
There's eyeshadow on
Yeah,
the card.
like the listeners can't see this, but you could Google it for yourselves. These cards are absolutely marketed towards women, which right?
yeah.
Makeup and like face, product and stuff. But it's just like so on the nose. Like how much could we target these women? Like what more could we do? I know. Let's make the credit cards like super feminine.
Let's put them eyeshadow.
Yeah, like,
eyeshadow palette on the Visa.
that's just unfortunate. And again, it kind of goes back to that idea that like so many people get in that situation where they think it might be a good opportunity, and for some it is maybe, but for the majority, it's simply not. And if you're in a situation like Mary Kay, where you have to spend this upfront money, I mean, it's almost 2 years later, and a teacher is still having to work to get that, credit card down. Like that's stressful. It's just a lot.
And people listening who are all for network marketing might be thinking, well, she didn't try that hard, so that's why she has to pay that off because she didn't put the effort in. And this is just your story of how you got screwed over with one network marketing company. That doesn't mean that every single company or even everybody who's involved with Mary Kay will have that same experience. Some people have positive experiences. Some people have experiences that are way worse than yours, where maybe they were the fire victim who was targeted at Target. But this is just your story, and I want to really emphasize that. This is not everyone's story, and if you're listening to this and you're mad about how Chelsea didn't work hard enough, then you can help her pay off her credit card if you really want to.
Yeah, seriously. And then we can have a serious discussion about how educators
shouldn't have to have second jobs.
Shouldn't have to have second jobs. Yeah, let's talk about that too, because that's a bigger issue overall. There's no reason that teachers should be having to go through that. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing your story. I mean, obviously, I'm personally glad that you didn't get too much deeper into it, but I'm bummed that you even got recruited like that. We have a famous question, if you will, that we ask all of our guests, kind of going through their financial journey, and we just want to know if you could put a stop sign in front of anybody that's like in the recruiting process for any MLM. Is there like a phrase or like a certain thing that like that comes up and you're like, nope, stop, leave immediately, like get out of this while you can? Is there something that comes to mind, almost like a trauma flashback that like you hear it and you're like, oh, like that brings me back to that space? What's that stop sign for you?
I think, and you mentioned that phrase, not working hard enough. And that was something that was said at all the meetings. If nobody made seller's court that week, or, didn't sell enough, or didn't recruit any new consultants, oh, well, we need to be working harder. You need to hustle, and that, I think, is a red flag or a stop sign for me, especially, like, in your heart what your work ethic is. And when someone questions that, it's really off-putting.
Yes.
That's a good one.
And especially like if the director knows you, and maybe they weren't the one directly saying that to you, but like, I'm a teacher, like, I do something other than just this. So to question my work ethic and say that I'm not working hard enough is like, that'd be frustrating.
Right. And I think for me, like I kind of, yeah, I knew that in the back of my head. I was like, well, I have a career besides this. So it didn't, it bugged me, but it didn't, like hurt my heart. But then looking at the girl next to me who does this full time and has 3 kids, and she's being told she's not working hard enough, and she's, believing that in her heart about herself, that's what angered me as well, too. Like, yeah, just manipulative.
Again, it just goes back to the fact that you're a kind human and you care about, obviously, the other people around you going through that. I mean, that's just.
I got goosebumps, the heebie-jeebies in a bad way.
Yeah, you said something, and I hate to bring up a question after our last question, but I just have to hear what the explanation is. What is seller's court?
Okay, so if I'm remembering right, it's like you want to sell a certain amount in the month. And if you sell, like the first month when I did the $600, like I was in the court and I got to wear a crown. I got a fake, I got a necklace that was probably $10. And I held up roses and everyone clapped for me of how my hard work got me in this reward
that you bought yourself. Oh, this makes me so sad.
But it goes back to what she was saying. Like, if you've never felt special or like
Right.
you have value, and then a bunch of kind women in dresses are clapping for you, you'd be like, I feel good.
Oh.
And I might be mistaken, that might not be the term. There was like a lot of terms and phrases that they use, but basically, yeah, it's when you get to a certain level, you earn some type of reward and get recognition for that.
Well, I'm sure that all of our listeners who are Mary Kay aficionados will let us know the correct vocabulary if it's not seller's court.
I don't think we have very many Mary Kay aficionado listeners, but we might. And if they want to say that you didn't work hard enough, I can send them your Venmo.
Yeah, you can say, come on over and take some of this color match foundation.
Yeah.
She's got a baby on the way, and diapers ain't cheap, damn it.
I'll sell it to you for wholesale price.
There you go.
There you go.
You are
Love
too kind.
that. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming on our podcast and just being willing to open up about this story. That's not always easy when you're talking about a poor experience with a company, but we really appreciate your input for sure.
Yeah, your honesty's been awesome, and it can be difficult to be vulnerable when you've felt like maybe embarrassed or ashamed. Like I know that's how we felt when we got caught up into it. Like I was, I felt really bummed that we got taken advantage of and that I didn't like see the signs, I guess, or like didn't judge it a little bit more in my mind. So thanks for being willing, to open up. That's cool of you.
Of course. Well, this was so much fun. I appreciate you guys chatting with me.
Definitely. We'll talk to you later.
Good luck with having your baby.
Woo!
Oh, thank you.
Bye, Chelsea.
All right. Bye.
All right, you guys, we hope you enjoyed our interview with Chelsea. She has since had her wonderful baby boy, so she's no longer pregnant and doing MLM interviews with us, but we're so appreciative of her time. And I don't know about for you, but for me, it brought back a lot of feelings that we had with like some of the Amway stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just really interesting to hear her perspective.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
This interview and the one from next week, I learned a lot. I had my preconceived ideas and opinions, and I'm sure everyone can guess what those are. But this has definitely just reinforced and shaped some of the things that I think for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear it from the perspective of people who have been deep in it.
Deep, because, my opinions are just like surface level from the outside.
For sure. Versus the people that have been like in it, trying to make money, trying to do their thing.
Yeah. It's a whole new world out there.
Yeah, it is, I'll say.
I mean, millennials, so many of us are in the hustle and grind culture with just a bunch of side jobs. And so, I mean, millennials are deep in network marketing.
Yeah.
I know so many people that have done so many different forms of network marketing because that's the way that they can make money. They can literally work for 10 different companies
Yeah.
and make money. And so it just seems so personal because so many people that I know are involved in some sort of network marketing.
Yeah, and millennials are so plugged in on social media that it's a way for them to, like you said, have a side hustle that is, semi-passive if they're, just posting stuff on social media. That doesn't take a ton of work, so yeah, it's interesting. Well, you guys, again, please do stick around for next week's episode because you don't want to miss part 2 of our multi-level marketing series. That's going to do it for this episode of The Price of Avocado Toast. As always, we are so thankful to have had this conversation with you and so grateful to be part of this community. Happy budgeting.
You've got this, Toasties.
Thanks for listening to The Price of Avocado Toast. If you vibed with this episode, share it with a friend that you're comfortable having money talks with. And if you don't mind, we'd love if you could rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
If you're in need of my support as a financial coach, message me on Instagram. I'd love to help in any way that I can. Until next time.